Today's guest on Talking Voiceovers with me, Gail Goslin, is Themba Robin Behrens. MC, voiceover, actor, podcaster, YouTuber, and so much more. Hi, Themba, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're first of all an entertainer, right?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I'd like to think of myself as an entertainer, but as crazy as the world is, you're never just an entertainer.
So what else are you? Tell us more.
So I do have a day job. So I'm a sales manager for a small craft gin company. And then pretty much I dive into entertainment. So anything from MCing, I dabble in music on the side, but that's my a hobby more so than anything at the moment. And then obviously voiceover is the new love.
So how do you manage to juggle a day job and voiceover and gigs? How do you have time for it all?
I don't actually know. I really don't know. Every day is pretty full, which is fun. But I grew up in the Eastern Cape, and things are quite slow when you grow up there. So you come to Joburg and you realize there's this really fast pace, and so I've just dived in and tried to tackle everything. But work is at least a little bit flexible, and then my voiceovers I just try and do whenever I have a free minute.
So how did you get from the Eastern Cape to Joburg to doing what you're doing now?
Well, we drove by car. No, I'm just kidding. We, yeah, I think it's just also getting a little bit fed up with the slow pace of the Eastern Cape that we decided to move up to Joburg, and then it's all the stuff that I do now is all sort of along the lines of stuff that I've always been interested in, and without blowing my horn, it's sort of, it plays to my strengths sort of thing. So taking a little bit of work to refine everything. I got a microphone by luck. I got a really good little microphone to start with, and I just started jumping on online platforms and putting little samples out there. And yeah, it's slowly but surely over the course of about 3 and a bit years built up to the point now where I can say, hey, I'm a voice artist, and I can offer the service quite confidently now.
Well, I do want you to toot your horn because I want to know your story in detail so that we can inspire people who want to start in the industry. Let's start with, what was your first microphone?
Okay, so my first microphone, it actually was a Samsung, the CO3, but I didn't have any of the interface. I didn't have an interface. I didn't have any of the stuff required. I never mic stand. So that technically was my first microphone, but I was lucky enough to get my hands on a Lewitt DGT 650 from a friend of mine, Byron. And that was my first microphone. It's basically a USB microphone. So that saved me having to buy the interface and everything else. And that's what I started on. Yeah, I really got thrown a bone because that is not the type of microphone I think anyone could really hope to start on. But that was my starting mic.
I saw your YouTube videos, Sketchy Tech. They're pretty cool.
Thank you.
I saw you reviewing a whole bunch of microphones. So the question I wanted to ask you was, what would you recommend for somebody without a budget? What setup would you say?
Oh, so I think the two things to consider, or the way I see it, is you need to think of longevity. So, getting something cheap now, it helps you get started for sure, but you might need to replace things much sooner than later. So it's kind of like you're either going to wait now to get something fairly decent that's going to last you a long time, or you're going to buy something cheaper now, get started, and then you're going to wait to upgrade a lot further down the road. But with that said, I think the USB setups they've really upped their game. I think the USB microphones of yesteryear always got knocked because the quality was inferior, and no one really took you seriously if you used a USB microphone. But I think the quality's come up a lot, and the convenience of it is just it's so much better. So I'd say a USB setup is probably the best way to go for a beginner, and price-wise also.
Right, yeah. So that would be good enough for things like the online platforms, not necessarily broadcast quality.
No. I think, actually, I said in one of my videos, I said as much as USBs improve, you just have so much more. If you know what you're doing, you've got so much more with an XLR microphone. there's the quality is better, your bit, you can achieve a better bit rate. All those little things just really come into play at the end of the day when you're trying to elevate your game, I guess. So yeah, I think to start off with, definitely USB can get you going, but I'd tell anyone to move over to XLR once they've got the backs and once they're confident.
That's a good plan. Yeah, I agree with you. And what platforms did you start on, and would you suggest for somebody new to get started on?
So the platform thing is it's really an interesting discussion, and I think I would love to see what other people's views are on them, because I see lots of different people having very different experiences. So for me, I started on voices.com. I started with a free profile, and I uploaded my demos and waited to get invited for a job. And then I got that job, and then I made enough money, I think, off 2 jobs to eventually actually afford a paid prescription. But that took a long time. That took like nearly 12 months. So the first year of voiceover, I think I did like 5 jobs an entire year. But once I got the paid subscription, then started getting more and more jobs and stuff. And to date, voices.com works the best for me. And I've tried Mandy.com. I've tried Upwork. Yeah, flip. I've got all the links open here on my desktop. I can't remember all of them, but yeah, I think off the top of my head, Voices works the best for me. That is.
Do you have to do 10 to 20 auditions every day?
I've learned with a little bit of time to try and pick and choose what really fits, what briefs I can really nail. Because when I started, I just went for everything, and they're like American accent, whatever, and I'd be like, oh, I can do that. And I'm thinking to myself now, I'm going, well, there's a lot of Americans out there that'll also be auditioning for this, and I probably won't be able to pull it off as genuinely as that. So I think a big thing is knowing what your voice or your character is and what you can do, and then hit those. So I used to audition for everything, and now I probably do 2 or 3 auditions a day from the 10 that I used to on Voices. Yeah.
And so how many jobs do you think you'd get? What's your ratio?
The ratio, so I probably get a quarter of all the auditions I probably do get. So 1 in 4, 1 in 5. It's not bad, but I mean, yeah, you can imagine auditioning for 4 or 5 auditions, and it's very horrible to not get jobs when you put your heart and soul into things. But yeah.
That's actually a fabulous ratio. I think you must be picking really well, or you're absolutely amazing.
Well, the other thing with Voices is there's not a heck of a lot of South Africans on the platform. So when they do send a job and they're looking for a South African voice, I think there's only ever about 10 guys that end up auditioning. I always go and see how many people have submitted auditions, and there's not a lot of South Africans using the voices.com space. So I'd urge anyone who's listening now, like, definitely jump on it. You might ruin my ratio a little bit, but heck, we're all here to be better and and all that. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Themba. So did you have formal training? Did you take coaching?
Yes. So I actually did a bit of coaching with Anne Williams. So that was really cool. And I say it's really cool. And I think I'd tell anyone to go for coaching, because I think a lot of people are born with natural talent. And so we're naturally very confident behind a mic and all the rest. And lots of people are MCs and they're used to live events. But voiceover is a little bit different. And there's tiny little nuanced things that you learn through training that just set the good from the awesome voice artists. And that's what I learned with Anne, is just, learning how to keep a flow. I used to, my first few readings, and Anne would say to me, oh, it's very staccato, because I'd build up a rhythm on every line, sort of thing, and you realize that's very boring for a listener. So I had to beat that out of myself, as making it too sing-songy, that sort of thing. So those are the little things that really elevate your game, and that's what you're going to learn from classes, I think.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever got, either from Anne or other coaching?
I would say two things. First of all, the sing-songy bit. It's very easy to fall into a rhyming sort of scheme when you're doing your voiceover, which gets very boring for people to listen to. And then the other thing is picking which words in your read require the emphasis. Because I also, when I started, I'd put a lot of emphasis on the word "so" in a read, but I don't know why I do it. It would happen. And then you think to yourself, is "so" an important part of this? Is the company name not maybe more important, or the duration of the special or something like that? So it's trying to pinpoint what are the really important aspects of the line or the read and focus on that rather than making "so" sound amazing, but then the company name is sort of dwindled and let down at the end sort of thing. So yeah.
That's really good advice. I hope our audience is listening to that and takes note.
One of those small things.
Small things can be very big. How soon did you get an agent?
So when I first started, before I got into voiceover, I actually did quite a bit of TVC work, so TV commercials and that sort of thing. So I always had an agent from then doing the TV commercials, and then she stepped up her game in terms of the voiceovers and stuff. So there's a dedicated section of her website where all our voiceovers and stuff are. So it's pretty much been the same agent the whole way through. So no clear line on that one.
That's useful. What's it like having an agent booking all your jobs for you compared to voices.com?
I think the fun thing about having an agent is you don't have to go and hound the client or anything. Like, I find myself dreading to have to remind people, is the job finished? Can I, move on? Will you pay me, sort of thing? And as the artist, you sort of want to always keep your relationship rosy and not get your fingers dirty, sort of thing. Because at the moment you sort of have to bang on someone's door for money, it sours the relationship somewhat, sort of thing. Whereas if you have like someone who can go and do that for you, or lay out and be stern about the terms and conditions, then it's fun. Then all you have to do is perform and do your thing. So I think that's definitely a cool part about having an agent, to have all that stuff done. And also just in terms of industry remuneration, if I could throw that out wildly like that, there are a lot of people who work without agents and stuff. And even with TVCs, I've done that once and I really shot myself in the foot because I accepted a job for pittance, thinking it was a really, quick and it seemed like a good thing at the time. And then for this very same job, like 8 months later, I saw what they were offering and I was like, man, I should have asked for so much more, or something like that, And so I think that's definitely a draw card of having an agent, is they know what the industry standards are. No one's going to come back and say, oh, can you quickly just add 2 extra lines, and then you feel bad to charge them. If you've got an agent, they'll be like, cool, we can do 2 extra lines, but you have to give the artist extra few bucks, sort of thing.
That helps. They're like your shield.
It's like having a bodyguard.
Yeah. Do you still have to do auditions? Do they just bring them to you, or do you still have to audition for the jobs with the agent?
So a lot of the time, and I see Voice Bank is actually getting a little spruce up. They're launching a new website, I think in February or something like that. But before, so I had my demos on Voice Bank with all my details. And then usually a client will just listen to your samples or your demos, and they'll decide whether they want you or not. And then pretty much just tell your agent, say, listen, we'd like to book Themba for a read. So, a lot of the time with agents, and if you've got samples and demos that they have, the client will listen to it and make the decision, and then they're happy. It's not too often that people will just send you a job directly, unless you've worked with them before, maybe.
Right. Yeah, or if it's a series of things. How do you prepare before a gig? Do you warm up?
Yes, I've been bad with warming up. I've actually just started doing little vocal warm-ups in the car. I found a playlist and they do the la 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 la, just to, so I do that while I'm driving around just for practice. But I think my standard procedure would be, just warm up, do a bit of lip exercises, get your mouth moving, because otherwise I also find I tend to be lazy with pronunciations. If you're going for something that's articulate, you need to make sure that your mouth is warmed up and ready to do all those crazy movements. So do a little bit of that. And then I think I just like to be very comfortable. So I make sure if I've been given the script beforehand, I've read through it once or twice, never too many times. Make sure your equipment's working. And yeah, I think try and take as much fluster out of it as you can.
Do you ever get nervous before a gig?
I don't get nervous before, but I do sometimes get nervous during if I can't hit what the client's looking for. And you sort of get that feeling sometimes. I did a podcast with Damien Schmidt from Mix FM, and we were talking about this sort of thing where you've delivered 3 times and you haven't quite got to where the client is happy, and they start umming and ahhing, and they go, well, take 2 was good enough, and it's close enough. That gives me like heart palpitations, because I realize maybe you're running out of time and you've probably only got 2 more chances or something. So if it's something that's a little bit difficult that I haven't got my head around, that usually makes me nervous. But usually going in, I'm quite fine. It's just if it doesn't go to plan off the bat, then I'm like, oh no, I'm failing.
I suppose we're all human.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But on the other hand, what is your favorite thing about doing voiceovers?
I think it's the ability to be anything, and that flexibility. I mean, having done a little bit of acting, it's fun to be anybody, but your physical presence always dictates to a certain level what roles you can play, that sort of thing. So I couldn't be a burly lumberjack sort of thing. I barely can grow a beard, and I got sort of like chubby baby face sort of thing. So it would be a stretch for me to play that on screen, but I could definitely do that over a voiceover. And so I love that sense of freedom. And yeah, it's just so much fun.
What genres of voiceovers do you do? Just commercials, or do you have any other things that you do?
So a lot of the work that I do is instructional videos, internal videos. Yeah, that's pretty much a lot of the work. So a lot of the work on voices.com is international, but for like the South African branch of General Electric or something like that. So, the head office wants a South African voice to do it, sort of thing. So it's very in-housey stuff. It's not always the most exciting or glamorous reads, because they just want you to be clear, articulate, and keep pace, and all the rest. So that's the bulk of my work. But yeah, I do a few sort of radio spots every now and then, more for local work. I do slightly less radio work. So the radio spots and stuff aren't an everyday occurrence for me. If I see a job come in, I think 6-7 times out of 10, it's going to be an instructional video or something internal like that, which is fun. There's a lot less pressure on those. But yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a few radio spots out there if anybody's looking. No.
What's your favorite type of work?
Favorite read, or
favorite between TV commercials, on screen, cartoons? Do you do cartoons?
Trying to do cartoons. I've done a couple. I did my first game last year, sort of game character, which was quite fun, but a very flighting character. He had like 7 lines, and they're like, "Thanks for coming." So I'd definitely like to do games, but I think the radio spots and TV spots are probably the best. They pay the best, and they're usually a little bit more emphatic, so you can have more fun with them, and they're done a lot quicker. So those 3 elements, sort of, I'd say, TV and radio spots are probably the most fun, just because, I say payment, the amount of time you're usually in and out in 10 or 15 minutes, and then there's usually a lot of fun to be had with the read. So I like that.
I wanted to ask you, what came first? Was it your desk job or your day job, or was it your entertainment industry work?
I've always been sort of working, and then trying to do entertainment on the side. And when I moved to Joburg, I just decided I'm going to give a lot more attention to my entertainment stuff. It's always been work to keep food on the table, sort of thing, but I haven't stopped giving attention to entertainment, because the more you feed it, the more it grows. And that's where it is now. Is 3 years ago, it was nothing. It was like a hobby, part-time thing. people would tell you you're stupid for investing time in that sort of thing. Whereas now I can say, well, guys, if I hit 2 or 3 voiceovers in a week, versus working every day, the two balance out. And there's some people who are lucky enough to just drop everything and just pursue what they want. That's great. But some of us have to pay bills and stuff. So I've managed to keep the two afloat quite evenly to this point.
And where to from here? What's your plans for the future? Do you want to go full-time into entertainment, do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of scope for those who are doing things properly. I think South Africa's got lots of room to grow. If you're willing to put 110% into your production quality and all of that, then I think the sky's the limit. So I'd love to expand on the voiceover thing. So we've got the YouTube channel Sketchy Tech, where we talk about tech things and voiceover things. So I'd love to grow that a little bit. Yeah, I'd love to maybe develop my side of things into more of a studio and offer a bit of copywriting and a couple of other voices to prospective clients. So I think I'm definitely gunning for it from an entrepreneurial sense. And yeah, hopefully, if it's done right and if you apply yourself, I believe you can make a little business out of anything.
Now, here's a completely different question. If you were stranded on a desert island, yes, what 3 things would you bring with you?
Definitely bring a guitar, like a Leatherman. It'll be one of those real Leathermans with all the things in it. And then, boy, what would the 3rd thing be? Some duct tape. I guess you can go wrong with duct tape. Super handy. I'm kicking myself because I'm wondering if I shouldn't bring some foodstuffs. Yeah.
Okay, let's assume there's food on the island. That shows a lot about you. So you're a musician and you're very handy too. You can get things done.
Yes. My wife doesn't agree, but I think so.
At least you'd like to think so.
Haven't fixed the kitchen cupboard in months.
Can you share your social media handles and your contact details in case anybody wants to reach you?
Yeah, I'll start by saying quickly that I love the Facebook page, by the way. I think it's such an awesome idea. Just being able to share information, because I don't think we as voice artists share enough with each other. We could be a formidable force if we did. But yeah, you can check out if you're interested in tech stuff, microphones, anything like that. We have a YouTube channel called Sketchy Tech, and that's SKETCHY and then Tech TECH. And then if you want to follow me on any of my socials, it's all Themba Robin, so THMBA ROBIN on Instagram, you name it, all over the place. You can find me under Themba Robin. Yeah.
Any parting advice for newbies and any starting out people out there?
I think it's probably a little bit cliched, but I think it's definitely a valuable piece of advice is get started. I think too many people waste time not getting started because you want things to be perfect, or you want the perfect microphone or anything like that. Get started. That's the only way the journey is going to really get anywhere. So don't be afraid. Or yeah, you can be afraid, but get started and believe in yourself. If it's a passion, if it's a hobby, don't put it by the wayside. Plug it every single day with friends and family and your network, because if you don't take it seriously, no one else will. So go for it.
For sure. Well, thanks for sharing all that with us. We'll be looking out for you on the airwaves.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having a little chat. And yeah, like I say, really appreciate that Facebook page. And I hope we grow and just do awesome things.
We will. It's super fun meeting everybody on there and on here.
Cool.
Thanks a lot, Themba. Cheers. Ciao. Thanks for watching Talking Voiceovers. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on the next one. Cheers, and see you next time.